All right, let's just dive right into this explainer. I want to completely reframe everything you thought you knew about networking. Because look, for so many of us, right, the very word just brings up these cringeworthy images of awkward mixers desperately swapping business cards with people who don't care. But today, we're going to flip that script. We are transforming networking from this soul-draining chore into the absolute engine of your success. We're going to see exactly how the world's most successful founders use strategic, intentional connections to build absolute empires. So here is our roadmap for today. First, the ultimate secret. Second, intelligent networking steps. Third, depth over shallow. Number 4, the introvert's advantage. 5 is masterminds. And finally, number 6, sustaining social capital. Let's get to it. Part 1, the ultimate entrepreneurial secret, unlocking hidden opportunities. Let's start with how legendary business builders actually use this to uncover opportunities that are just entirely invisible to the rest of the world. I really want you to think about this for a second. What do Starbucks, Airbnb, and Spanx actually have in common? I mean, was it just endless mountains of venture capital? Was it sheer blind luck that built these massive global brands? Well, actually, no. The reality is, intentional relationship building was the real catalyst for their massive success. It wasn't about simply showing up to events. It was about strategically connecting with the exact right people at the exact right time. Seriously, strategic networking is basically the cheat code to unlocking totally unseen markets and critical operational secrets. Just look at Howard Schultz. I mean, the guy didn't invent coffee, but by connecting with local cafe owners in Italy, he got the vision he needed to take Starbucks from a little local bean seller into a total global powerhouse. Or take Airbnb. The founders met their crucial early investor at an event back when they were literally just renting out air mattresses on the floor. And Sarah Blakely, she built the billion-dollar Spanx empire by actively going out and seeking advice from established giants like Richard Branson, just to figure out the insanely complex manufacturing process. And hey, the hard data absolutely backs this up. Research shows that 40% of first-time business comes directly from word-of-mouth networking. Think about that. Almost half. Plus, if you have a well-developed professional network, you're 65% more likely to grow your business compared to those with poor networking skills. So yeah, this isn't just fluffy advice, it's a highly quantitative, super effective business strategy. All right, moving on to part 2, 4 steps to intelligent networking using the Forbes methodology. Basically, how do we actually pull this off without being weird about it? This Forbes framework is kind of your master key here. First up, you've got to know your value. You'll have to be incredibly clear on what your brand is and the unique skills you bring to the table. Second, do your homework. Seriously, do your research. Don't just blindly message people. Target specific companies or individuals where you know you can genuinely add value or learn something specific. Third, and honestly this one is huge, make contact to offer help without expecting a single thing in return. It's got to be organic. And fourth, build a real, authentic connection. Qualifications are great, but let's be real. People do business with people they actually like. Which brings us to part 3, depth over shallow connections, where quality completely beats quantity. This is where most people get it so wrong, and it's exactly why trading cards at an awkward hotel mixer is basically a total waste of your time. Maya Angelou actually captured the entire philosophy of this perfectly. True networking is about creating real value and being authentic. It's about, as she says, forging a familiar relationship, rather than just treating people like identification numbers to game the system. Collecting a massive stack of business cards that are just going to sit on your desk, gathering dust, that does absolutely zero for your business. So to avoid those totally shallow interactions, you have to foster continuity. The absolute best way to do this? Follow up within exactly 48 hours of meeting someone. But please don't just send a generic nice to meet you. Actually send a quick summary of what you chatted about and propose a clear mutual next step. Maybe it's a quick Zoom coffee. Maybe it's collaborating on a tiny project. Make that first contact the beginning of the story, not the end. Okay, part 4, the introverted founder's advantage and why introverts actually win at this. If the mere thought of walking into a 500-person mixer drains your energy, you are going to want to pay close attention. Introverts naturally crush it here because their default settings are perfectly suited for modern business building. See, an extrovert might be great at building a massive pile of superficial connections, but an introvert, they excel at building a smaller quantity of incredibly deep, high-trust relationships. And in the business world, having one rock-solid, high-trust connection with a key stakeholder is worth infinitely more than 500 random contacts on LinkedIn. So, how do introverts actually leverage the superpower? Instead of those massive events, lean into these three strategies. First, the one-on-one deep dive. Use those active listening skills. Ask thoughtful questions and let the other person do 80% of the talking. Second, go digital first. Introverts usually shine in writing, right? So leave really insightful comments on your target's social media for a few weeks before you ever ask for a video call. The ice is already broken. And third, host micro events. Curate a tiny 6-person dinner. By acting as the host, you control the room, your social anxiety drops, and you automatically position yourself as the central node of value. Moving on to part 5, masterminds and mutual value, accelerating your growth. Let's talk about this elite strategy that top-tier leaders use to rapidly skyrocket their personal and professional growth. When you join a curated mastermind group, you're literally surrounding yourself with dedicated, like-minded peers. It's this highly confidential, safe space where you can finally uncover your blind spots, tackle those limiting beliefs, and honestly, just navigate the insanely lonely journey of entrepreneurship with people who actually get what you're going through. There is a total night and day difference between trying to fly solo and being in a mastermind. Mastermind members get the benefit of shared, diverse insights instead of just sitting alone trying to solve a problem. They get peer-driven, high-level accountability instead of relying on their own fleeting motivation. And research actually shows that founders who prioritize this kind of vulnerable personal development are significantly more likely to see lasting business success. It's a game changer. And finally, part 6, sustaining your social capital, the maintenance protocol. Let's look at the actual secret machinery behind keeping this network alive over the long haul. Because relationships are living, breathing things. You feed them, they grow. You neglect them, they die. Simple as that. LinkedIn founder Reid Hoffman and entrepreneur Ben Casnacha have this brilliant rule of thumb. Constantly offer a small gift. And look, they're not talking about sending expensive bribes. It's about providing a relevant article, a key introduction, or a piece of advice that speaks directly to whatever is currently keeping that other person awake at night. Helpful help. Here's a perfect example. When Dig founder Kevin Rose wanted to invest in Jack Dorsey's new startup, Square, he was told the funding round was completely full. But Kevin noticed that Square didn't have a video demo on their website yet. So what did he do? He just made them a gorgeous, high-definition video entirely for free. He gave them a highly specific, unique gift with massive value and asked for absolutely nothing up front. Dorsey was so blown away that he immediately made room for Kevin to invest. $7,000. Now, this number represents a dedicated networking budget set aside by a software engineer named Steve Gardy. And guys, it is an absolute masterclass in sustaining connections. Let me tell you how he used this. Garrity took a job at Microsoft up in Seattle. But he knew deep down he eventually wanted to start a company back in Silicon Valley. He was terrified his network there was going to dry up. So he took $7,000 of his savings and pre-committed it as his California money. Anytime someone interesting invited him for lunch or coffee down in the valley, he just booked a flight, no hesitation. Because the money was already allocated, he never stressed about the cost. It was a pure strategic investment. And sure enough, 4 years later, he moved back and launched a company with a buddy from that exact same meticulously maintained network. Incredible, right? Another ridiculously effective way to maintain and grow your social capital is simply to be a bridge. You can multiply the value of your network exponentially just by acting as the connector. Introduce 2 of your contacts to each other who don't already know one another. Straddle different communities, share diverse ideas. This creates what's known as network intelligence, and it makes you totally invaluable. I want to leave you with a slightly provocative thought today. If your entire business vanished tomorrow, who are the 10 people you would immediately email for advice or a lifeline? Seriously, figure out exactly who those 10 people are and start investing in them right now, today, before you actually need them. Because honestly, that is the true secret behind every single successful entrepreneur.